Did Jesus really rise from the dead, or is it just a story? Historians across the spectrum, they agree on this much. Around 2,000 years ago, something happened in Jerusalem that changed history forever. First, the empty tomb. Multiple early sources confirm that Jesus was crucified and buried. This is even confirmed by non-Christian historians like Tacitus, who record his execution under Pontius Pilate. Then we have the fact that the Gospels say that women were the first witnesses, something that no one would invent in a culture where women's testimony carried little to no weight. Simplest explanation? The tomb was really empty. Next up, we got the eyewitnesses. In 1 Corinthians 15, written around 55 AD, Paul says that more than 500 people saw the risen Christ. And check this, most of them were still alive at the time that he wrote this. But why is that important? You see, by writing this when most of the witnesses were still alive, Paul was basically saying, if you don't believe me, check with them. Let's go! In other words, when Paul wrote this, it wasn't just legend, it was living memory. Third, we got the transformed lives. You see, the disciples, they went from these frightened men in hiding to bold witnesses, many of them facing torture and death. And that's important for one reason. People will die for what they believe to be true, but nobody will die for what they know is a lie. Okay. The fact that they were really about that life points to a real encounter with the risen Jesus. But screw what I say. What do the smart people say? There's a scholar named N.T. Wright, and he says that the resurrection is the best explanation for why the early Christians began saying that Jesus was raised from the dead at all. Or in other words, the birth of the Christian movement is just unexplainable without the resurrection. When we look at the evidence, it points to an empty tomb, eyewitness testimonies, and transformed lives. Why? Because Jesus is risen. The only question is, what are you going to do with that?